Hey there, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Michael Ellenby. How are you? I'm really delighted to be here today, and I want to talk to you today about the art of the pitch. The art of the pitch is really important for everybody: entrepreneurs, startups, business executives in large organizations, students, whatever. So, the point of this is to teach you how to do a great pitch in whatever it is that you're presenting. So, I'm going to be talking about three things today. The first one is talk about you and your audience and your pitch. So I'm looking forward to this. This is one of my favorite presentations of all time, so I really love it. The reason I do this is that many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I started out as a trainee salesperson at GE, General Electric, and I did not know how to pitch. When I had to do a presentation, I'd be sweaty, literally had sweat running down my face. I had the sweaty armpits, and I've earned every sweaty armpit ever. And my pitch was unintelligible, basically. The arc of the story was wrong. I couldn't string a coherent sentence together. And I disappointed the audiences. And worst of all, I disappointed myself. After about a couple of months of failure, I got sent on a presentation skills training course. And it changed my life, and it changed my career, and it changed my income. So that's why I do this. I want to help you excel at whatever it is that you do. We've all got great ideas as entrepreneurs and startups. And I want to help you be able to communicate that idea to your audience, whoever your audience is. So let's go. The thing about entrepreneurship, for me, it's all about leadership, and leadership is about three things. It's all about communication, and we're going to be talking about the pitching part of communication today. The second part, it's all about teaming. Leadership is all about teaming. Whether you're creating a team, building a team, or being part of a team. That is really all that you do as part of leadership. And the third part of entrepreneurship is problem solving. Because really that's all you do. Today is like, what's the problem today? What's the biggest, baddest problem you've got? Let's solve it. On to the next problem, on to the next problem with a great team, but you can't do it unless you've got great communication. So today, I'm going to be talking about three things, as I said. There's you, there's your audience, and there is your pitch. I'm not going to be talking about your pitch deck, how to make the deck look pretty. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the arc of the story, but it's all about you and how you present to the audience that you've got. So first of all, why should you learn how to pitch? This is really quite simple because pitching is a core skill. If you can't pitch, you can't sell. And if you can't sell, you haven't got a business. If you can't pitch, you haven't got a great team. So this is something that you have, and it's even more important than the idea. And pitching ability will help you build a great team, which will help you build a great business. So here's my definition, and because I made it up, I think it's the best. Pitching is the transfer of enthusiasm about your product, your idea or business or service from you to your audience. So it's the transfer of enthusiasm from you to your audience. You can't be a great pitch person unless you have that passion, commitment, and enthusiasm for whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and then you have to deliver that to the audience. Now, why should you learn how to pitch? The reason is you have to be doing it all the time. When you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed, when you meet someone in the parking lot, when you meet someone in the elevator, wherever you are, you have to be doing it all the time. You are pitching to customers. You're pitching to investors, employees, partners, whoever it is. My favorite story goes back a couple of years. There was a woman I was mentoring through SeedSpot, and she was starting a business on selling dessert hummus, which is a great product. One day she was at the airport and the queue was long and she was late and she was going to miss her plane. Waiting in the line for security to go through the security checkpoint, she was like, I'm not going to make my plane. So she decided to turn around, talk to the people in the line behind her, and start pitching, practicing her pitch. She was so good at it, she walked away from that with a $50,000 check. Because she learned how to pitch, she could pitch anybody, anywhere, anytime. And with that skill, that's going to help you make a great business, build a great team, and get great investors. So, what makes a great pitch? Any number of things there, but I'm big on these 9 things. But most of all, the top 3 things. You've got to have passion, commitment, and enthusiasm. And with these 3 things, people respond to that. Your investors, your customers, your team members, and so on. That's what people respond to. If you don't have these, you can't transfer that to your audience, and therefore you can't do a great pitch. So, what you're looking for is you want people to believe you and believe in you so that they will respond to your ask. Now, this is important. Let me just unpack that a little bit. So you want people to believe you, all right? And that comes back to the honesty and integrity thing. You must have honesty and integrity in everything that you do, because if you don't, people are going to smell it. They can smell lack of honesty and lack of integrity half a mile away. Don't even try to slide something in thinking people won't notice, because that one thing you try and slide in, that's what people are going to call you out on. You want them to believe in you, which means you've got to be able to transfer that passion, and they believe in you and your passion and commitment and enthusiasm to make this business happen. And then you want them to respond to your ask. Every great presentation, you have to go into it with a specific objective and ask your audience for something specific. If you think you've got a generic pitch and you've got a generic ask, you're going to get a generic response, which is nothing. Or people say, oh, that's a lovely presentation. Who cares? You want to have a very specific objective that you want to get out of this presentation. And to do that, you've got to have a very specific ask of your audience. And then you're able to quantify whether that pitch was good or not. Did you achieve your objective or not? Did your audience respond to your ask or not? So you've got to go in there and have them respond to what it is that you're trying to get them to do. So that's you I'm talking to right there. Oh, and you. You have to know yourself in order to do a great presentation. People always say, you have to know yourself, but in doing a great presentation, if you don't know yourself, and if you don't know if you enjoy pitching or not, why are you doing it? You have to know, are you good at it? And if you think you are, how do you know you're good at it? And just because your mum tells you that you're good at it doesn't mean that you definitely are. So you have to try and find the right person in your organization who is the best person to pitch whether it's an investment presentation, a marketing, or a pitch demo, a pitch competition, whatever it is. Oftentimes, the CEO or the person with the idea, the founder, is not the best person to pitch. If they're an engineer, they might have a great idea, but they're an engineer and they're awesome at that particular skill, but they may not be a sales and marketing person. Oftentimes, a sales and marketing person is great to pitch, but they may not have the background or the connection to the story that the founder has. I've seen some CFOs do some awesome pitches, but you have to look at everybody who's around and see who is the best person to make that pitch. It's only about half the time it's the CEO or the founder. The other half, you have to get the right person in the organization. Just because you're the CEO, don't make the mistake that it's going to be you, because that's going to be an ego-driven thing. I'm the CEO, so I better do this pitch. It doesn't work that way. Sorry. Now, when you're doing a pitch, and this is one of those things that people think is a bit of an internet myth, 93% of communication is nonverbal. So this is one of those things where I have to make sure that this is correct, so I just went and I actually found the data. Now, 93% of communication is nonverbal, which means 7% is. 7% is the words, and that's all. Okay? So 93% of all communication is nonverbal. This is such an important point, I'm going to repeat it. So this came from a psychologist called Professor Mehrabian. He did this research in 1969 and 1970. 1971 wrote a book called Silent Messages. He discovered that 55% of communication is coming from body language, body movement. That's where people get most of their communication from you. 38% comes from your vocalization, speed, context, intonation, inflection, and so on. That is a very, very important part of the communication that you give to people and what they get. Only 7% of the communication comes from the data, right? Comes from the words. It's all about speed, delivery, how you use your body language and how you use your body to reach out to the audience and get them to come with you on this journey, on this presentation that you're trying to make. Now, I really made sure that I found all the data in this, and here's the questions that were used in the research. If you don't believe me, you can read these these things here, but this is real, okay? Now, just to make sure that you understand that this is real, I've got a couple of other points to make before we go into a couple of websites. First of all, on the point of the data, people don't remember what the data that you tell them, but people remember how you made them feel. And they remember that from the body language, your vocal variety, the tone of voice you have, the eye contact, the movement of your hands, your body, your head, whatever it is that you do, that's how you make people feel. And that's what people remember. If you're doing like a pitch day or a demo day, there might be 15 different organizations pitching at the same time. So if you have 15 different organizations delivering data to the audience comes with data overload after about the second or third presentation. But they do remember how you made them feel. They remember the emotional connection. And that's what people take away with them. When you are doing a pitch, never, ever, ever, ever hide behind a podium, just like I'm doing right now. I got no choice in this. I have to stand behind the podium. Because if you stand behind a podium, you're losing 55% of the communication capability that you have. And if you read notes, it's even worse. Now, I think we've all been to those dinners where somebody walks out, the guest speaker walks out on stage, stands behind a podium, pulls out 6 pages of notes, and proceeds to read them. Total nightmare. You know that the audience just disconnects with the speaker straight away because their body is hidden, they're reading the notes, there's no connection with the audience, and it becomes a waste of time. And it's almost disrespectful to the audience. The speaker wants to give data, but that's not what speaking is all about. There is an element of data, and the words are important, but the emotion and the passion, commitment, and enthusiasm for the subject is what gets people engaged and committed to the idea that you're trying to provide. Right? So don't read notes, don't hide behind a podium. I'm normally pacing up and down, but I'm told I've got to stand on this little spot here. About 2 years ago, I did a TED Talk up in Fountain Hills in Arizona, and I really loved it. But also, we were told to walk on stage and stand in this little red circle and don't move. Same thing. I like moving around. That's where I get my energy and how I deliver communication to the audience. So that was really quite difficult for me. So you have to find what is easy for you and what is difficult for you and find out what works best for you. Okay? So let's have a look at these websites. First of all, this one is all about body language. And let's have a look at this. Now, body language is how you communicate to the audience. You can click on the lines little tab on the left, little box on the left. So what this is from a university in Canada, and it's a biomechanics lab in Canada. And what they've done, they've put like hundreds of people on a treadmill and put little balls on their joints so they can see what the biomechanics of the body is looking like. After that, they ask people to give their perception of what this person is feeling. So you see a person walking along in a neutral stance. So if we can just slide this that third thing across to the left. Now what we've done is you see this person, their shoulders come up, they're walking a little bit harder and a little bit faster, their arms are moving a little bit more aggressively. And the perception of the way this person walks is that this person is nervous. They may not be nervous, but the perception of the audience is that they are nervous. Now, if that perception is reality, and if the audience perceives or thinks that you are nervous, you're going to lose credibility straight away, and you're going to lose that emotional connection with the audience, because the audience just feels nervousness from you, and they won't be engaged and committed to what it is that you're trying to do. They engage through passion, commitment, and enthusiasm, and they become disengaged when they think you're nervous. So you can slide it back to the right, the other way, all the way across. And the third one all the way across. And you see this person's relaxed. All right, they're confident and relaxed. They're just kind of walking along. Now, if someone walks out on stage like that, you think, oh, this person is relaxed, they're confident, they know what they're talking about. I'm going to listen and I'm going to engage. And I like this person already. So keep that third slider where it is and move the fourth one right across to happy. There you go. This person is relaxed and happy. I think he's actually probably going down the pub on Friday night with his mates. And I'd like, somebody walks on stage like that, it's a little bit too relaxed, so you have to pull it back. So what this shows is that your body language directly impacts how the audience feels about you. As soon as you walk on stage, they're going to look at your body language and see, yes, no, I like this guy, I don't like this guy. So the way to do it, the way to really make a positive impact, there's a very, very simple thing first of all. When you walk on stage, or even just before you walk on stage, you've got to walk on, shoulders back and shoulders down. If you can put those sliders 3 and 4 back in the middle. Right, and that's a normal, neutral state. And then third slider across to nervous, you'll see the shoulders come up and so on. So if you want to not appear to be nervous, but appear to be relaxed, shoulders back and shoulders down, there you go. And when you walk on stage, you come on and you're relaxed, you're confident, you come onto a spot, stand your ground, and immediately the audience is engaged. So that's the importance of body language. Now the next site is actually a YouTube video. And in this video, it's only 60 seconds long. But in that 60 seconds, there is just this one word, and there is 13 different vignettes, 13 different little stories, and the one word is repeated in each little story. And you'll see the importance of vocal intonation, speed, inflection, when combined with body language and the way it imparts a lot of data to you, the audience. Hit it, baby.
Dude. 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 Dude.
So you can see, even though it's just the one word, there was 13 different stories in just 60 seconds through saying the same word in a different way when combined with body language. So it just reinforces 55% of communication comes from body language, 38% comes from your vocalizations, and only 7% is the data. So when you're coming on the stage, body language, shoulders back and down. Most important thing, the audience immediately thinks that you are now confident. When you're speaking, you have to warm up your voice, as with any other muscle that you're using. Stand grounded on the stage. Own that space. And you will appear to be confident and relaxed and know what you're talking about, and your audience is deeply engaged even before you open your mouth. Okay? And no caffeine. Whatever you do, just don't. No coffee, no Red Bull, no nothing. It will destroy your presentation. Okay, so on to nerves. Who hates public speaking? Who gets nervous when they public speak? Yep. I can see you. Yep. Oh, I think you do as well. Come on. So now nervousness is driven by your ego. It is an ego-driven response to a situation. When people go on and they have fear around public speaking, they are worried about their reputation and they're worried about what people think of you. Okay? If you think you're unprepared, you go, oh my gosh, the audience is going to think that I'm stupid. They think I'm going to be wasting their time. It's going to be a mess, and so on and so forth. This is an ego-driven response because you are just worried about what other people think of you. All right? You're worried about your reputation. So here's the thing. Listen carefully. Come on, in closer. Now, I don't care about my reputation, and I don't think you should care about yours either. So let me say that again. I don't care about my reputation. I don't care what people think of me. And I think that you shouldn't care what people think of you. Don't worry about your reputation. It's not important. Let me show you what is important. People always talk about, and you've probably heard the phrase, what's your personal mission statement? What's your vision? What's your mission? Your character, your why. Your vision and your mission is what drives your actions, and your actions drive your reputation. And the same in business. You have a business vision mission statement that drives the corporate actions, that drives the corporate reputation, or financial results, whatever it is. So don't worry about your reputation. The reputation is purely an outcome of your actions, and your actions are purely an outcome of your personal vision, mission, character, values, morals, ethics, whatever it is you choose to call it. So focus on your vision and your mission. Understand it very clearly, know what they are, and then you will be able to look at your actions and then look at your reputation. If you see a great speaker is never, when they speak, they're never worried about the audience reaction. All they're concerned about is telling their story, telling what their mission is, and telling them how their business can change the world. They really don't care if you're engaged or not. They don't care what you think about them. All they care about is their mission and how they're going to use it to change the world. What are their actions and what's the outcome? And the reputation is purely an outcome of the actions and the vision mission. So when I say I don't care about my reputation, I don't. What I care about is my mission and my vision. And my mission is the pursuit of excellence in everything that I do. I mountain climb for fun, and I climb some fairly aggressive mountains. And that's the pursuit of excellence for me. And if I pursue that in the mountains, that smears across the rest of my life. So I pursue excellence in everything that I do. So whatever your vision and mission is, you have to be very clear about what it is that you do, what is your why, and that will drive everything else. Make sense? Okay. Now, nervousness, again, it's just a form of energy. There's that story about two musicians when they come on stage, just before they come on stage. One musician says, I got sweaty palms, I've got a dry mouth, I've got butterflies in my stomach, I'm so nervous. The second musician says, yeah, I got sweaty palms, I got a dry mouth, I got butterflies in my stomach, I'm so excited. It's just a form of energy, and you can use it to hold you back, or you can use it to propel you forward. Whatever it is, you have to use that energy to serve you, not you serve that energy. So you have to think like a rock star. Whenever you see a rock star, I don't know if anybody's been backstage, I think you have, been backstage behind at a concert, you see often the performers running up and down or pacing up and down just to get their energy up and turn that nervous energy into an energy that will propel them forwards so they can then go out and do a great performance. So think like a rock star, use the energy for good, all right? So let's talk about your audience. Because a pitch is empty without a good audience. You have to know who the audience is. Why are they there? And then, of course, there's America's favorite radio station, which is WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's all they care about. They don't care about you, I'm sorry. They don't care about your shirt and your clothes and your business. And all they care about is what's in it for them. And you have to direct your audience to their desires and to their expectations. And you also have to direct your ask to that specific audience. So if you're an entrepreneur or a startup or a business person, you have to tailor the pitch every time to the audience, which means you have to do your research about the audience and their expectations first of all. Okay? If you don't know what the audience is about, you're going to end up with a generic presentation and a generic response to a generic ask, and therefore it's almost a waste of time. You have to know who the audience is, but also you have to know why you are there and why they are there, and then try and meet in the middle. When you do that, you're on your way to a pretty good story. Part of that, knowing your audience, is that you have to treat them respectfully and professionally. Be on time. Turn up. Know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. Practice, practice, practice. I've given this presentation probably 50 times. Last night I still went through it for an hour or so, changed the slides around a little bit because I want to focus on entrepreneurship specifically and make sure this will hit you. Yeah, you. Hit you directly, and it will be meaningful for you. Now, when you're doing a pitch, if you've got 20 minutes to deliver a pitch, you are on stage for at least half an hour beforehand and at least an hour afterwards. Because if you're driving into somewhere and you drive into a parking lot and you cut somebody off, I guarantee that person that you just cut off is the most important person who's going to be in the audience today. And if you are afterwards, you have to hold the lift door open for somebody. You don't know who they are, but they're still observing you and they're still observing your behavior. Because investors invest not in the business model, they invest in you and your behavior and your ability to execute to that business model with a great team. So you're always on stage. Now, with your pitch, as I said before, why are you there? You have to have a very, very specific objective for your presentation. If you don't have a specific objective for your presentation, how do you know that it was a good presentation or not? Did you meet your objectives or not? If you don't have objectives, you don't know if you've met them. So you've got to have very clear objectives when you start out. You have to know what you're talking about, but most of all, keep it really, really, really simple. As simple so that you can deliver a 30-second elevator pitch anytime. Don't try and dazzle us all with complexity. It's just, you'll lose the audience straight away. You have to be able to present your pitch in a way that your grandmother would understand it. If grandma can't understand it, go back and start again and try it again and keep on developing it until it's really simple to understand. You can communicate it to grandma or someone in the elevator for 30 seconds. So, so, so important. Now, if you haven't seen it, there's an awesome video on YouTube called The Golden Circle by a guy called Simon Sinek. There was a 20-minute or an 18-minute TEDx video, and there's also a 5-minute shortened down version. This is the most compelling video you will see in YouTube history. Changed my world and made me fully understand the power of why. So when you're building your pitch, you have to start with the why. Build a personal story. Because people buy from other people. Team members will come and join your team because of the story that you can tell. Some will do it for money, but yeah. But they will buy from you because of the connection. You have to build an emotional connection, and then that builds a story arc that is compelling for everybody. Okay? So you start with the why, and then you go to the how, and then the what. But go and watch Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, The Golden Circle. It's awesome. Now, when you do have your pitch, there's 4 things that you have to do. All right? Practice, 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 and then practice some more. And then go and do it again. When I mentor at SeedSpot, I tell my mentees that we're preparing for pitch day, they have to practice their pitch 30 times a week and video it and show me. So people do it because that makes the difference. Practice makes perfect. Athletes, you get professional athletes, what they do 90% of the time is practice the basics. And when they get the basics right, then they can start layering complexity on top of it. But it's the basics and the practicing of the basic that makes the difference and makes them a winning team. That's what you have to do to get a winning pitch. Practice, practice, practice. Build that connection. Talk about the why and make a compelling story arc through your personal story that people will connect with. Because as I said before, people will remember how you made them feel, not what you tell them. And that comes from the body language and the vocalization. Words, they're important, but they're not as important as you think they are. It's the body language and the transfer of passion, commitment, and enthusiasm to your audience. And that's what people are going to engage in, and that's what people are going to buy into. All right. Basic pitch structure. This is, again, really quite simple. 3 things. You tell the audience what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them. So introduction, main body, summary. I'm going to tell you today how to win blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. In summary, I've just told you blah, blah, blah. It's that simple. It's not complicated. You tell them what you're going to tell them, You tell them, and you tell them what you just told them. Yeah. So, to summarize, let's review. This is me telling you what I've just told you. So it's you, and remember, 93% of communication is non-verbal. Bring your shoulders back and down. People will think you're confident and relaxed, and people will engage with you straight away. You will deliver a positive impression to your audience as soon as you walk out on stage. Don't worry about your reputation, all right? Don't worry about it. That's going to be good or bad no matter what. Focus on your vision and your mission and talk from the heart that way. When you talk from the heart, people will feel it, and people remember how you feel. Use the nervous energy, because we all get it. We all get nervous energy. Use it to serve you and not you serve it. Speak from the heart, you're golden. With the audience, you have to understand who your audience is. If you don't know who your audience is, why are you doing this presentation? And the audience, they only think of one thing. They think about themselves. They don't care about you or your business or your presentation. They're only thinking, what's in it for me? So you've got to deliver to that expectation from the audience. Have a very specific objective for your presentation, and tailor the ask. What are you going to ask of the audience? So tailor your ask to that specific audience, and you'll get good results. All right. Remember that you're always on stage, an hour before, an hour afterwards, and because I guarantee it, that's when either the good stuff or the damage will happen. You're in a controlled environment on stage, that's easy. But when you walk off and you're grumpy at somebody, that's what the investor will see. Or if you walk off, you're high-fiving your team, they're high-fiving you back, that's what the investor will see. And that's what's important. Lastly, with your pitch, you've got to start with your why, because that builds the connection to the audience, and that's what people will engage in. Build a compelling story arc, and then you build a connection. And that is what is going to bring people along with you. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them. And then the 4 things. You practice, 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 and then you practice some more. So if those 9 things are a little bit too much, here's just 3 main things, the top 3 things. Very simple. You walk on, shoulders back and down. This makes the biggest impact you would not believe. Try it in your next pitch and stand your ground. Speak from the heart, speak from your vision and mission, and that is going to engage the audience. You will make them feel what you're feeling, and you'll be able to bring them along with you on the journey with the arc of your story. And then practice, 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 and then practice some more. Follow these 3 things, and you're on your way to doing a great presentation. Good luck. This is an awesome journey that you're on. The world of entrepreneurship, startup, business, whatever it is that you're doing, embrace the journey. There's going to be challenges all the way along the way. You're going to make mistakes. Awesome. The more mistakes you make, the closer you are to achieving success. Build a great team, solve problems, communicate, and deliver a great pitch, and you are going to be awesome. Thanks very much for your attention. Michael Ellenby is my name. I do this for a living. Michael@michaelellenby.com. Please send me an email, communicate with me. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. Thanks, guys and girls.